Hello. It's just a quick message to say that the audio on this isn't the best because I was a bit drunk and I didn't really listen to the levels beforehand, and I was mega hay fevery, so I sound like a fucking naval Norman. No, nasally little nerd. I'm a bit drunk now. Also, yeah, I have hay fever. Fucking sue me. Sorry, I live in Wales, right? I don't do these on my own, so I'm a bit flustered. Yeah, how are you? I love you. Goodbye.
Croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, an accurate drunk Welsh history lesson. Throughout this series, we're going to be talking famous Welsh battles, events, people, anything else really. We just bloody love talking about it. Join us as we have a couple of cans, shine light on otherwise dim-litted history. I'm Jack. As always, I'm joined by Franco, my close friend and confidant for over 20 years. Today, we're going to be talking about sort of Welsh myth, the Mabinogion, all that sort of stuff, all the fantastical elements of Wales.
You
But
sound so
first, before we get
tired.
into, I am,
You
I am a bit
sound so,
tired. You know this.
yeah, you sound
Though this is
so
going. I'm going to lead into
lackluster.
this. I know I can't actually open my
Yeah.
mouth properly. I'm going to explain this now. I'll ask you what you've been up to. You'll ask me, and all become clear.
Yeah,
So, what have you been up to?
fair. Well, I've been in hospital because I've been a sick boy, so I've been pretty ill for a little bit, and now I'm out of it. I've had face surgery, so I sound a bit fucking fat tongue. Got a bit the old fat tongue going on.
The old fat tongue.
Yeah,
Is that what the doctor said? Sorry, buddy.
yeah.
You said tell it to me
Sorry,
straight, doc.
give it
I'm
to me
sorry,
straight,
buddy. You
dog.
got
What
the
have I
old
got?
fat tongue.
Oh, you got it rough. You got a serious case of the fat tongue. My girlfriend's from Manchester, and she always calls it tongue. She was all like, a tongue on my bum, my bum or tongue. But
Insight into your life there, isn't it?
yeah, but, so I had like fractures in my bone, not my bum, and
Your
I had
bum.
fractures in my cheekbone and my nose bones and in my jaw, and they've injected like liquid metal to fill in the gap, but it's mean I've got a bit of scarring, and I
We've
sound like a
already
fucking
joked
fat
about how
gob.
you're basically
The Welsh,
Wolverine now, and
yeah,
your bones are
adamantium.
laced with adamantium.
Yeah, I've all. That's the only attribute I have similar to old huge Jack Martin. So,
Yeah,
but so I got fat gob. You've also got fat gob, so you sound like a right
in a
nerd as
way.
well.
Yeah, in a way, close listeners might notice I have a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of lisp or a sort of slant to my speech that I don't usually have. That's because I've essentially reverted to a 14-year-old, and I've had what is essentially braces applied today.
No, you've
But
invested in a Hollywood smile.
well, yes, exactly.
You
It's a
know this
long-term
podcast's going to make you
investment.
big.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I've only got a I've got a face for radio at the moment, but soon I'll have a face for telly with my lovely pearly whites. But basically, yeah, I'm trying to straighten my teeth out a bit because they're a bit wonky. And today it was actually horrible. They had to grind down bits of my teeth with like
Oh,
this, like a diamond sandpaper,
yeah.
and yeah, it's as pleasant as it sounds, really. And they fix these like little anchors to your teeth, and they
So
just
is
I don't know
today the
like
first day you've
resin
had
or
it?
something. Yeah, yeah, I literally had it done this morning.
Oh yes,
And
yesterday. I don't
I
smell
literally just
like.
had done. Yeah, all right, that's actually
Sorry,
offensive. So
I got the same, man. I feel so. I've had it for about a week, and I feel so sad. You know, our voices are our instrument on this podcast, and now we're both
there are
fucking
weapons to wield, and they've been
yeah,
dulled.
yeah. So
Well,
that's
I've already
a
had it from Amy. Amy's had something similar done. She had hers done
mm,
like 2 days ago, and I was so conscientious of being like, no, no, you don't have a lisp. You don't sound any
yeah.
different. You sound great. Don't worry about it. As soon as she got in the car when I picked her up from work after having it done, I was like, oh, how was work then? And she went, oh, how was work done then?
Turncoat,
So,
absolute
exactly,
turncoat.
absolute turncoat. She said she's climbed up the ladder and pulled it up behind her. Can't
Yeah.
believe it.
How does she sound?
What's that?
What's that? How does she sound?
What's that? She
Sorry.
sounds okay. Yeah, it's something you get. You apparently your mouth just gets
I
used
was
to
going to
after
say
like a couple
your
of
gob will
days.
get used to it. I'm meant to be getting a bit more
Yeah,
used to it, and also I would be really upset if someone made fun of me right now. But I'm such a bully that I instantly
yeah.
jump on you.
Yeah, I'm at my lowest. So leave me be. Don't kick a little Jackie when he's
Mm.
down. But
Yeah, your
yeah.
gob will grow into it, won't it?
But anyway, so
But
like because they have to put like, these anchors on your teeth, so
yeah,
that the little retainer things can push off and pull your teeth in whichever way they need to go. But they're so uncomfortable. and like I can't actually close my mouth properly. So it's like my usual way of talking is just it's just very much affected. So yeah,
Yeah,
apologies to listeners, but if you don't like it, as ever, fuck off.
yeah, and you're having a go at someone with a disability right now, so
That's actually
think
really
about that.
disgraceful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Although you can make fun of me for the fact that I now have to drink my can out of a straw. So you hear
yeah.
this?
Fear not, we'll still
That's my
drink.
straw rattling round. Yeah.
When I had the first day after my surgery, so it was quite a horrible surgery. Um, I was on really strong painkillers and gave me like codeine, like really strong codeine, and the strictest. I came up with like what are the gourds, like those things to stop the bleeding, and
Oh, it
the doc,
gauze. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, gourds. And the old doc was like, okay, so now take it easy for a few days. And I said, oh, am I allowed to drink on these? Like, I was on like some antibiotics afterwards. He said, oh, well, we can, but you won't really be up for drinking after today. And I was like, oh, listen
Jeez,
here.
don't you fucking tell me what I'm up for and what I'm not.
You go to school to learn how to fix a gob. I go to school to know how to destroy a gob. So I was so that night, me, you, and the boys had a game on Xbox, and yeah, you're not really meant to drink after it because it can thin your blood or whatever. But after a few pints, it helps ease you back in.
Well,
So I reckon they
alcohol's
have
a
to like,
painkiller, isn't it? Like, I've got
yeah,
achy little teeth, achy breaky teeth at the
yeah,
moment, but, I'm on my third can, and you know what? It feels fucking better than it did 3 cans before, so
yeah,
there we are. Shove that in your fucking doctor and smoke it.
yeah. Shove that up your doctor, you fucking loser. Like, my dog's
Yeah.
just fucking cause carnage here. She's obsessed with ripping anything up. Like she doesn't do like important things like towels or pillows, but if there's a fucking snotty tissue hanging around, she's all over that. I mean, that
Oh,
sounds
Alfie will
horrible.
just bloody eat those things.
Oh, gubbins. Right. Sorry. So, do you want to get
Let me
into
get
what
in
this
it.
episode's going to be?
Yeah, alright then. Let me just grab a can quickly,
Yeah.
and then I
I'll
will
keep the audience entertained.
go for it.
Hi guys, how are you?
Oh, you
Sad?
fucking
Yeah,
kidding
good.
me?
Not
Sorry.
sad as Jack sounds.
Not you. Hang on, I gotta go clean this mess up.
I'd also like to apologise for how much of a lazy little nerd I sound. Got got hay fever, and you know what it's like. I'm being pasty ginger and fucking nerd. I run a Welsh history podcast. Of course, I got hay fever. Anyway, how are you? Get involved with us by messaging Tales for Wales on Twitter and tell us what you'd like to see. And I'll just wait now until Jack's back. So, into elevator music.
Oh, you fucking prick.
Yeah, so we're back now. Tell us what happened.
Oh, so I was just merrily going along, having another can, as we often do on the pod, and yeah, just fucking exploded everywhere. I
Guilty?
think it's, I, I think it just, I think my fridge has turned up too high, just like my fucking sense of party lifestyle, and it just went fucking everywhere.
I, uh, I always like to tell lies. I'm a big liar. And one of my lies, I class them as pranks. And I used to tell people that Jack wasn't allowed to use his fridge. His girlfriend wouldn't let him keep his treats in the fridge. For some reason, she was really anti Jack's sweet agenda. So I said that he used to keep all of his like ham and chocolate and all that in a plastic bag outside his window.
All my
And loads of my
perishables were
friends,
just hanging out the window, wouldn't it? Yeah.
and loads of our friends believed me for ages. I was like, "Yeah, it's mad." Apparently, Jack used to take up to his room and it would like it would like defrost it or
I
frost
think
it.
you said I dropped my chocolate milk in the fridge or something like that. And when this was said, I thought, come on, none of the boys are going to believe this now. Surely, this is like, and they were just
And
like,
also,
"That's mad. That's crazy,
well, I
man."
told it behind your back, didn't I? So you didn't
That
know
was
I
it.
was
Originally
saying
set
it.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'd get my friend Craig, be like, "Oh, that's fucking mad. So what does he do with like his cheese and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, that's in the bag as well.
It's in the bag as
It's
well.
all,
It's all in the bag, man.
it's all in the bag." That's yeah. So it's quite good that you've been pranked by a fridge.
Yeah, exactly. I was allowed back in, and then
Yeah,
it bit
you
me
had one
back.
day back in, good behaviour.
Yeah, I
And,
spilt my cider everywhere. What am I like?
so you're on the run now, though, are you?
Yeah, I switched over to the room, so I've gone on
I
a
do
run
like
early.
telling the audience what we're drinking. I think it's quite an important aspect of
Yeah,
our
it
relationship
frames
with
our
them.
discussions a lot, I think, because I was
Yeah,
editing one of our ones earlier, and I sound quite drunk in it. But we do
yeah,
establish early doors that this is a doubler, and we've also
yeah.
been drinking quite a bit, so it's all right. If it frames the conversation, I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. I can also hear my dog fucking. She gets, like zoomies. I hate that fucking word. It's so internet talk. But she
Yeah.
properly gets it, where she'll just fucking launch back and forth. Like, she'll
Mm.
probably do like 10, maybe 6 feet. She's only a small dog. She'll go back and forth, with her eyes wide open, like gob wide open, like this mad look in her eye. And she just fucking sprint
Yeah,
back up and
I
hear
know
the
it well, my
yells. So,
friend. I know it well. Half he does it, and he
yeah.
ends up knocking shit over because he's such a big fucking clumsy oaf.
Well, I oh my god, Jesus Christ.
I can hear the
Fucking hell.
I can hear the little pitter patters.
She's fucking running. Oi, stop, calm down, baby. Oi, Dad. Hey, come here. Come here, little tit. She fucking came round the door because I got like a wood cardigan flooring for the wood fans at home. She came in with a little towel on. Went, and because like it's a bit slippy, she doesn't get that far. So she took the corner and she did about 6 runs, but stayed in the same place.
To Tokyo
Oh.
Drift.
And then she jumped on the sofa and went fucking mental.
This
Yeah,
episode's been off to a great start.
yeah, I know it's been fucking very lingy
So
long, but
delayed.
yeah. Well, yeah, let's get into it. Let's get
Anyway,
fucking
yeah.
involved.
So to
Shall I give
give,
us a run up to what we're doing?
yeah. Go on.
So usually we talk about famous Welsh people, usually famous Welsh battles, and famous historical figures. But this time we thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we're going to run through, as we are a land of myth and legend.
The valleys. A place of myth and legend, where the dragon sleeps and life is beautiful.
So yeah, as we are a country of myth and legend, we thought we'd run through our top 3 individual myths and legends from this fine and pleasant land. So we're going to run through. They vary. Mine are as maybe not the best like top 3, but funny top 3, or I thought were
Yeah,
interesting top 3. I think you've done the same, haven't you?
we've done episodes before where we've sort of done a top Trump style thing, but I don't think
Yeah.
this is that, is it? We're just going to list what
No.
we think are some cool ones that we've come across
Yeah.
and give a bit of background on the story and have a little natter about them.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is, one of the main things of Wales is it's a land of myth, and I know I sometimes find that a bit too much tourist card. It's a bit like fucking. It's
Mm.
I find it a bit cringe sometimes. They try and make Wales this land of song, and I think shut up. But it was been really fun to research and read a bit more about these. But some of them I've known about them, but didn't know why they existed. So even though the ones I picked aren't the most. Maybe the most exciting or the most kind of revered, but they're interesting ones. I think they'll find them funny. So,
Oh mate,
without much
I've just
further
picked
ado,
purely on like sort of. Oh, I like that. I like that one. It's no
mm,
real sort of rhyme or reason to it, so
yeah.
don't
Well,
worry.
do you want to start? Do you want to go first?
If you like, I've got the my first one is it's a bit of a longie if you want to strap yourself in.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, get your strap on.
there you go, get your strap on and shove it your ass, innit?
Well,
Ready for my story?
I'll just say quickly, the Harry Krishnas have locked up outside. I live opposite the Harry Krishnas down the bay, and I've just seen them turn on the lights. So get ready for some
I've
Hari
I've seen
Hari Krishna.
I've seen plenty of Instagram posts about them, my friend, and I'm all for it.
Yes, I love them. If I was religious, I'd be a Hare Krishna. All they do is belt out bangers all day. It's gonna like Hare 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 Krishna. Oh, that's not
The
right.
one
I'll try and
belter,
find.
but that's fine. So Harry Krishna's aside.
Sorry.
Sorry, we can talk. You can talk to the day is long about that your love of Harry Krishnas. So I'll get my first one then. So my first one is a story called Branwen Ferch Clir. So it's a tale from the Mabinogion. So those who don't know, the Mabinogion is kind of like Oh,
Sorry.
is that them, is it?
1 second, let me... Let's hear it for a minute. Oh,
Jesus.
that's going to be too much, isn't it? This is
We can't get a solitary fucking second on this podcast, can we, without something going wrong?
There we go. Door's closed.
Right, you have to sit in the heat, mate.
No, it's them. They closed their door. Yeah. 1 second, give me a second.
Yeah, anyways.
Fucking hell. Oh, it's got to be said. They don't half go for it.
Yeah, well,
Can
they
you hear that
belted, mate.
anymore?
You don't half-ass the Harry Krishna song.
No? Okay, you can't hear that now, can you?
No, it's all good, mate.
No.
Right,
Right, as you say.
I will say, keep that in because it's funny, just this
100%.
constant introduction, right? I'll start again. Now the Harry Krishnas aren't back in my intro.
Yeah.
So my first choice is a story called Branwen Berchlir. It's one of the tales of the Mabinogion, which is, for those who don't know, it's like the sort of earliest stories and prose from Wales that were recorded.
Mythical
essentially.
prose, weren't they?
Mythical prose, yeah. So the Mabinogion consists of what's called 4 branches, 3 romances, and 5 native tales. These stories are all written down in a number of works, but mainly in the White Book of Rhydderch, or the Llyfr Gwyn of Rhydderch, and the Red Book of Hergest, or the Llyfr Coch of Hergest in Welsh. Both were written in the latter half of the 14th century, but historians reckon they were written versions of stories from much earlier, possibly sort of 11th century or something like that. But anyway, look into those if you're into that sort of thing, because they are quite interesting. But I'll get on to this story, basically. So the story of Branwen, it's about the eponymous protagonist, Branwen, who is the daughter of Llyr. Llyr is considered a big deal in Welsh mythology. They expect he was kind of like a deity at some point in the history, but, variations differ because, as we've said many a time on this podcast, the Welsh were shit at writing things down. So it's kind of ambiguous, but he was a big deal, kind of like a god entity, if you like. Anyway, so Llyr, he had 3 kids. Branwen, her brother Manawydan, and Bendigeidfran, aka Bran the Blessed, and he was High King of Britain. So before I go on, I just want to say that the vast majority of the Mabinogion concerns stories set only in Wales, but this one I quite like because it sort of widens its scope a bit to the whole British Isles. That's just a little personal point. I digress. But so the story actually starts with the King of Ireland, Matholwch, sailing to Harlech to speak with Bran the Blessed, or Bendigeidfran if you like, who in this story, as I mentioned, is the King of Britain, to ask for his sister Branwen's hand in marriage, which would forge an alliance between the two of them. Bran agrees to Matholwch's request, but the celebrations are cut short when Bran's dodgy half-brother, Efnisien, mutilates the Irish king's horses. I think he was just pissed that he wasn't consulted on the idea or something like that. There's varying degrees of story on why he was pissed at this, but yeah, it's basically he wasn't consulted on like sort of affairs of the family. Matholwch was basically fuming at this, so Bran offers to give him this magic cauldron as a bit of a compensation for the damage. So this cauldron's magical ability is to restore the dead back to life. So it's quite a big deal, pretty huge in fact.
Yeah,
but anyway, yes, fairly useful. So the Irish king's pretty happy with this, as you can imagine, as like a sort of reimbursement. So he says, yeah, cool, no problem. And he takes Branwen back to Ireland. So not long after arriving in Ireland, Branwen gives birth to a son called Gwern. But in this story, the Irish are kind of people that don't forget, and the insult that Branwen's half-brother had paid them was sort of living in their heads rent-free. It's one of those things where the Irish were the enemy in this particular, instance when they wrote the story. So, they're just painted quite poorly. But, take it with a pinch of salt. It's all crazy fantasy at the end of the day.
Don't worry, I don't think you're going to annoy your Irish contingent.
That's why I'm so... I was like, oh, please,
tiptoeing around it. It's not the 1970s.
The Irish family, if you're listening, I don't mean nothing by it, my lord, I don't.
I don't mean nothing by it. You're not going to get car bombed, it's fine.
Yeah. Not anymore, anyway. The cowards is this.
No,
yeah.
Oh, God.
We can cut that, that's fine. Anyway, so because this offence is still mulling around in their heads, they started mistreating Branwen. They apparently banished her to the kitchens and beat her daily, which is a bit harsh.
Oh,
Just it's a bit harsh considering she had nothing to do with the offence anyway.
yeah.
But
Oh God! Even in
after a
mythology,
while,
women get treated awfully. It's
I
fucking
know,
grim.
isn't it? It's just par for course. But
Mm.
after a while, Branwen was obviously sick to the back teeth of being battered all the time, as we all
Yeah.
would be. So she
Yeah.
decided she'd tame a starling, and she sent it across the Irish Sea back to her brother Bran. So there's zero explanation on how she managed to tame this bird, by the way.
Yeah, but it's mythology, isn't it? It's just
Exactly. I can only assume
Pinch of
because she's like the
magic.
daughter of a kind of godlike being, that's just she can
Yeah.
do that shit on a whim. No worries about it. You don't look into the details in these things. They often don't have
No.
much of a reason anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bendigeidfran, or Bran the Blessed, he gets the message, and he sails from Wales to Ireland along with his brother Manawydan and warriors from 156 cantrevs in Britain. So cantrevs were a thing in Wales actually from medieval times. They were like areas of land, almost like counties, not quite as
Big.
what's the word, enforced as that, but yeah, they're sort of like fiefdoms, however you say it. So yeah, a lot of them basically. It's also worth mentioning as well that Bran the Blessed, or Bendigeidfran, Bran the Blessed in these stories he ranges in size from version to version. So he either comes across as like a big fuck off bloke, like the size of the Hulk or something like that, or he's like an actual giant. Yeah, exactly, like Franco, the modern day Bran the Blessed. Yeah. Or he comes across as like an actual giant. So in some versions of this story, he doesn't sail across the Irish Sea. He wades through the sea and carries the ships of his men. So yeah, bit of a difference.
Boats. Why would you need to?
I know, yeah, but maybe he walks faster through the water than they can sail. Actually, I don't know.
I think I grew up with like someone in my family had like a Mabinogion poster depicting all the Mabinogion stories that happened around Wales, and there's a picture of him walking through the sea with boats on his back.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you mean, because I think I saw. Yeah, I think I've seen the exact same one.
Maybe I saw it in school.
Yeah, and going through from Wales to Ireland is him with a big beard, and he's like carrying the ships along. Yeah, so that's really good. That's one version. Yeah, I actually. Oh yeah, I might buy that. Side note, buy that thing.
Side note.
Anyway, so Bran and his men, they have such a big army. The Irish offer to make peace. Cowards. To show their goodwill, they offer to make peace. So to show their goodwill, they say, look, we'll make a house big enough to entertain Bran and all his men when he arrives. So obviously, depending on which version you're reading, this is
a monster house.
Pretty good or very impressive. So in this house, the Irish place hundreds of bags hanging from the ceiling, and they tell the Welsh that these contain like wine, food, bedding, whatever. But in actual fact,
when you said bags, my brain went straight to cocaine. Draw all the bags.
Oh, Bran, don't you worry, mate. You won't be sleeping tonight.
Got all the bags sorted, bro.
Hundreds bags of angel dust, mate. Just above your head, just stab one, it comes floating down like snow, my friend. Don't you worry. But in actual fact, what was in these bags, in each one was a warrior, just one in each, just chilling in there, ready for an ambush. So then, Evnisian, the half-brother I mentioned earlier who killed the horses. I don't know why Bran brought him along on this sort of excursion after what he did, but anyway. Anyway, he actually smells a bit of a rat. He doesn't think this is all kosher. So he does a bit of recon on the building before the feast begins, realizes in the bags is actually soldiers. And so this is the mad thing, he crushes the head of each individual warrior while they're in the bags, one by one.
Yeah.
I don't know why, when he started doing that, the rest of them just hung there and were like, what's going on there? Screaming and crunching sounds. Like, yeah. Anyway, he did that. So, I guess good guy for, protecting him from an ambush. So later then, when everyone's present at the actual feast, obviously the ambush has been quashed now. Yeah. Evnisian, feeling pretty pissed at the betrayal, this is mad, he grabs Branwen's newish born baby I mentioned earlier, Gwern, and he just throws him into a fire.
Oh,
Like,
God.
absolute
Mission's a prick.
cold motherfucker. Like, this guy just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a
Yeah.
shit. Anyway, so then obviously a big fight breaks out between the Welsh and the Irish. The Irish keep using their little magic cauldron they got from Bran to revive their
Yeah.
dead as they're dying.
Oh, that's
So
quite good.
the Welsh are on the back foot. And as I planned earlier, it's a great bit of alliteration. It put Bran and his bunch of boys on the back foot. I quite like that. Anyway.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah. So Evnisian then, in probably the only selfless move I think he makes in this entire story, decides to play dead amongst the Irish troops until he's carried towards the cauldron to be revived. When he gets there, he destroys the cauldron, but because of his magic or something like that, it doesn't really go into it. It kills him in the process. So that's the end of the battle, essentially, and only 7 Welshmen survived the conflict. Among them was, yeah, it doesn't go into more detail than that. I wish I could tell you why, but anyway, among them was Manawydan, so Branwen and Bran's brother, Taliesin, who is also a quite a big
he's in a few of them.
mythological figure. He's also known as the Chief of Bards, which I thought was a cool title. And then Pryderi Fab Pwyll, who was the King of Dyfed. So those are just 3 of the main ones out of the 7. Branwen dies shortly after the Battle of a Broken Heart, because probably she saw her,
bless her.
her baby just thrown into a fucking fire. Yeah, it's a bit mad. And then Bran the Blessed, who was mortally wounded in the battle, orders his remaining men to cut off his head and return it to Britain. So then, the 7 warriors would head back to Harlech and remain there for 7 years, where Bran's head, which stayed alive the entire time, kept them entertained, which I thought was quite good.
He's good, great yarn. He always told good yarns, didn't he?
I'm mortally wounded, lads. Cut my head off and take me back. Turns out I could have been all right for 7 years.
Maybe he was the head from a Heart Attack. You know, that big northern head?
I think that's what Buchanan was basing him on. Just fucking flicking it around like a madman.
Oh, this is an Heart Attack.
So after, on that note, after the 7 years, the 7 survivors took Bran's head to a place called Gwales or Gwales, which is not very inventive. It's thought to be Grassholm off the island of Dyfed. I don't really know what that is, but that's what they said it was. And they got to live there for 80 years without perceiving a passing of time, until one day Bran's head stopped speaking. So as the king instructed them before he went mute, they took his silent head to a place called Gwynfryn, or the White Hill, and it's thought to be where the Tower of London is now. And so they buried Bran's head there, facing France, so it might ward off invasion. I don't know why that would do it, but
what I don't get is that the weird little extra details, like why 80 years? Why not just say like, oh yes, they lived for a while, and then he buried his head facing to the French. It's for 80 years, 7 men for 7 hours.
And it's like if there was like a reason for the 80 years, you'd be like, oh cool, but this is like 80, why not? But this is the only little bit of an epilogue now. Then, so that's the end of the story. That it just sort of ends there, right? That's it. And then the epilogue sort of thing is, they say on their way to Gwynfryn, or the White Hill, Tower of London, they cut back to sort of just after the battle, and basically what the 7 survivors did with Bran's head in tow, they rampaged through the entirety of Ireland, killed everyone, and left only 5 pregnant women. So all 5 of these women gave birth to 5 sons. The sons then repopulated the entire island, but the only women they could shag were the mothers. And so they say the island is repopulated because of the incest of the island, and it's then divided into 5 provinces per son. But funny enough, Ireland today is actually divided into 4 provinces. But the whole epilogue bit is apparently just like a long-winded slam on the Irish. It's really like just going, you're fucking inbreds and all. Just
so maybe the Irish were the enemy of Wales, not the English overall. All of our good slams were born just arguing with them.
It sounds like this thing was just written down by some guy who maybe got like duped by an Irishman down the pub or something like that. And then the thing is, you're fucking inbred.
His missus left him for an Irishman.
Yeah, he just could not hack it. And he's like, I am Bran the Blessed. Yeah.
Gary, you drunk, go home. No. Bury my head at Whitehall.
But we fucking destroyed him, and they fucking only 5 sons left, and go shag them mums, right?
Oh, diddly-dee, fuck off, you bastard.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the story of Bran when Verchlir.
Yeah. I do remember that when I was younger. I don't remember I remember her being stolen, the princess being stolen. I thought she came back, though. No, died of a broken heart.
You know, I remembered a version where I thought she came back with Bran that was alive as well, but
yeah.
I don't know, maybe they give us the soft version when we were kids or something. Cause,
well, there is Mabinogion for kids in there. There's like that book.
Yeah, because I imagine they left out the bit in the kids' version where the fucking baby was thrown into a fire.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like Animals of Fathering Wood. That was a really bleak show. So I think back then, we just let you.
Well, what was that one with the rabbits?
Watership Down.
Watership Down. That was pretty rough as a kid. I remember that gave me nightmares.
Yeah. All right. Well, my next one is mega short, but it's I think it'd be good to compliment a bit of a longer one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of my favourite things I've learned from doing this podcast. I hadn't heard about this legend until today, and it's called the Bubach. Have you heard of these before?
The Boobach. Is it based on the Boobox from
It's not from Hook. No. The Boobox. Boo.
I did. Yes, you made a boo-boo. I did. I did. The Boobox. No, the Boobox. Yeah.
Boo-boo. Into Boobach. So the Boobach, spelled Bwbach, translated in English as small boo, but figuratively translated as a little scare. So a Boobach, like a little boo. They were little hobgoblins that lived in people's houses. They were like
brilliant.
They were like cheeky cunts rather than like evil cunts. They were like, oh, I'm up to no good. It's probably nothing Irish to like slam.
Like gremlins,
but they lived with Welsh. Yeah, they lived with Welsh families, and they would do like chores and good deeds in return for some milk or cream.
Brilliant, yeah.
So you'd have them like helping around the house. Going, I'm a booba. How do you do?
Sounds like us when we were kids. Just do anything for a bit of fucking sustenance. Yeah.
Yeah. They were usually up to pranks, and as you know, Pranky Frankie loves a prank. I'm a big prank fan. The main reason I love them is they used to bully. So they were overall nice. They were just like naughty but nice. But they used to bully teetotalers or people who didn't drink, and they used to bully clergymen.
I love that.
So if you were like pious and religious, the Boobach would hassle you.
Hassle him. So
and if
good.
you didn't drink, you'd get the visit from the Boobach.
That is amazing. You better down that bloody drink, son. Otherwise the Boobachs will have you.
Get you. Yeah. It's just like some mad man who wanted his family to drink with him. Like,
I'm adopting the Boobachs into our just like local vocabulary 100%. Now. Anytime, you know, come on, don't fall asleep now. The Boobachs will have you.
Oh, no, I can't drink tonight. Ooh, don't you sleep, don't say a word.
Yeah, someone will be visited by the Boobachs. Hope you lock your doors tonight.
Yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much all that there is.
Oh, I wish I'd have researched a bit deeper now, because I just had surface level stuff on little stories. I wish I'd have discovered the Boobachs. My God.
I went through a whole bunch of different ones. I thought, you know what, you were going to do some of the Mabinogion stuff, and I thought, I'm going to go a bit. I went through, because we got loads of mad little stories, and the Boobach, I felt like it was just like it
really is like
destiny for me to find it.
Opening up to just Welsh folklore and mythology in general, as opposed to just focusing on Mabinogion. There's so much weird shit around this mental stuff. But the Boobachs are by far my favourite so far.
So that's the Boobach. Do you want to hit us with your second?
Go for it, mate. I don't think I've any of short of that. I wish I had. But my next one is it's about a little creature feature from Wales. So like, I picked this one because I love a good mythology beast, you know, like a minotaur or like a fucking Medusa or whatever. I thought it'd be good to bring a Welshman to the table, because I don't think there's many sort of Welsh beasties, apart from the Boobachs, of course, which are now in the annals of history. Apart from those, there haven't really been much mention of them. So I've decided to go for the story of the Avanc. Ooh. right? And
Ooh.
so the Avank, sometimes called the Avank, which is a double D there instead of the F, is a lake monster from Old Welsh folklore. This monster has varying descriptions, right? And I'll list through them now. One of them is just a giant platypus, which, all right, doesn't sound very scary to me and you, but maybe medieval times, that probably would be quite a
Well, we
scary thing.
didn't find the platypus until like Darwin, did we?
Yeah, or something weird like that. I don't know. So it would look like a bit of a weird thing, wouldn't it? The most common one is a kind of crocodile with fur, right? That's the sort of thing. Crocodile with claws and fur, and it kind of looks weird. But one of the descriptions in the variations of the story is it's just a dwarf. It's just a dwarf, and they just call him an avank, call him like a little lake monster. I think that's a bit rough. And also not very imaginative. It's a bit shit. In all versions, it's noted that he is also a demon. Despite whatever description, he's also a demon. But the word avank is literally the modern Welsh word for beaver. And I thought that kind of works. If you think like a beaver's kind of like, well, they're not really a hairy crocodile, but I can see where the sort of the thinking is. Yeah, a big platypus, weird hairy crocodile. You can get it. Anyway, so this is the sort of thing that qualifies for a fucking monster in Wales anyway. And the lake it dwells in also varies from story to story. But there's a place in Betws these days literally called Thinner Avank. So like most lake monsters, the Avank would prey on anyone foolish enough to fall or swim in its lake. But one of the better stories with the Avank talks about how, after many deaths caused by the monster, Peredur, aka Sir Percival of Arthurian legend, is sent to vanquish the beast. So there's lots of talk about how the King Arthur stuff is like Welsh, and it's been sort of not bastardized. That's maybe a harsher word than needs to be, but it's been sort of incorporated into the Arthurian legend. But anyway, so this is Percival / Peredur, but I'm going to call him Peredur for the sake of the Welsh podcast. And in this story, the Avank resides in a cave near a place called, let's have a mouthful, Palace of the Sons of the King of the Torches. Yeah, it's a bit fucking long-winded. The place is given that really poorly thought out name because the Avank would slay the 3 sons of the king each day, only for them to be resurrected by maidens of the court, and then this would happen over and over again, basically. Some sort of cyclical thing. So hearing about this weird cycle of death and rebirth, Peredur decides to ride with the 3 sons one day as they go to face the Avank. So that's another thing. Every day they get resurrected and they go back to try and face it, just to be killed again over and over. The 3 sons tell him he shouldn't come because if the beast kills him, he won't be resurrected like they will be. Peredur, determined to kill the creature, breaks off from the 3 sons and heads to the cave on his own. En route to the cave, he meets a fair maiden who tells him that the Avank will slay Peredur through its cunning, and that the beast can turn invisible and use poison darts to kill its victims. The maiden gives him what's called an adder stone, which is actually something that exists in real life, I found out. It's basically a stone that has a naturally formed hole in it or something. Old school people used to think it was caused by like snakes conjoining together or a stone bit by an adder. It's lots of different reasons for it in old times. But it's also called a Gleinader in Welsh. So there's that. The Adderstone, apparently, in this instance, would make the creature visible to Peredur. So eventually Peredur gets to the cave, uses the stone, surprises the Avank before it could strike, stabs the old big fluffy croc in its belly, and then just beheads it. Easy as that. There's literally like no struggle in this story, but there we are. And the 3 sons arrive shortly after and state that they knew Peredur would kill the beast the whole time because it had been predicted in some sort of prophecy. Again, don't go into any details. They just go, yeah, we knew you'd do that. And it's like, cool. And that's basically the end of it. It's such a I'm so used to stories. I know maybe it's because we're living in modern times. Stories having like kind of meaning and sort of, I don't know, something to sort of grasp onto. But I feel that one, although I like the fact that it's like the only Welsh big lake monster, it's also a bit like, right, yeah, that was a very straightforward venture, wasn't it? That wasn't hard at all.
Yeah, not much imagination, is there?
No. And in other versions, apparently it's King Arthur himself that kills the Avank, and there's actually an ancient horse hoof-like shape in a rock near Snowdonia called Carn March Arthur, or Stone of Arthur's Horse, which was supposedly the print made by Arthur's mount when he hauled the Avang from the lake. But yeah, that's about as interesting as I guess really on that one.
Well, from the slightly mundane to the absurd of it's mad that story, like, it's quite famous, isn't it? Well, relatively famous, but
for Welsh myth.
It's quite straightforward, quite straightforward and like in narrative. I'll go to my second one, which is possibly the most mental part of Welsh tradition and mythology, in my opinion. The Mary Lloyd.
Oh yes, I saw the Mary Lloyd pop up on my thing. I thought, I bet you Frank will go for that because I love the Mary Lloyd. It's great.
So if the listeners don't know what it looks like, I'll do my best to describe it. But do yourself a flavour and Google it. The Mary Lloyd. So the Mary Lloyd is a horse's skull balanced on like a wooden pole, like a wooden broom handle pole, with like ribbons and bells and trinkets and ivy and holly over its head, and then it's like draped in a long white blanket, and it has like loads of people under it. So like thinking about it, it looks like a really budget, horrific Chinese dragon. You know, like Chinese dragons that they have. Like,
that's it. Yeah, you're not too far from the description. Having seen several real life Mary Lloyds, it's you're not too far from the description there.
They're fucking horrible. I remember seeing mine for the first time, and I generally couldn't believe my eyes. I was at the Eisteddfod, and I was eating like a Welsh cake or some cowl, because you're only allowed to eat Welsh things.
Of course, yeah.
Hard and feathered for being a traitor.
On pain of death.
Yeah, I remember seeing like this long snaking white thing in the near distance, and it was fucking terrifying. And then, you notice an unrecognizable skull, because I can tell you this for nothing: a horse's skull does not look like a living, breathing horse. It's fucking vicious.
It looks like a demon, doesn't it? It's grim.
Yeah, it really does. And apparently, the Mary Lloyd is classed as a wassailing folk custom. And wassailing means going door to door in a community and do like a jig or a song in return for some booze or treats. It was first recorded in the 1800s, and it was performed around Christmas time by groups of men who would sometimes be dressed as characters from things like Punch and Judy. Sounds so shit. The old days just sound so fucking.
They had to inject a bit of fucking liveliness into it. Oh, just stick a bloody horse's head on something and go around.
And the idea was those under the Mary Lloyd would knock on people's doors and sing songs to request entry to people's houses. And then the poor cunt who had just had his evening fucking disrupted was meant to deny them entry, but he had to do it in a song form. No, you're not allowed in. And then they'd go back and forth like this, and they'd either get turned away completely, or the person who's at the door they just knocked could eventually relent and let these tedious knobs in, and then was expected to give them food and drink. This exchange was sometimes called a punko, PWNCO, an exchange of rude rhymes.
I think that's where Ashton Kutcher got his TV show Punked from, right?
Yeah, punko?
Yeah. Punko? Yeah. No, called Punked Ashton, right? I've just been punkoed.
It's an exchange of... Oh my god, where is Ashton Kutcher?
Where's the Mary Lloyd Ashton? Come on.
Come on, Ash. Where's Mary Lloyd Ash? So old Kutcher, so they do like some of rude rhymes, which are fucking tedious enough. And if it was thought, if you did actually let this maniac into your house, you'd be blessed with good luck all year. And like I said, it happened on Christmas time, so sometimes the dead horse skull would have baubles in his eyes, which is fucking great.
That sounds fucking horrendous, doesn't it? I've never seen one like that. But have you seen the ones where, well, they all do it, I assume, but everyone I've seen, they make like a hinge for the horse's jaw, and it fucking clatters shut, and you would not believe how loud that fucking thing is. And they'll go right up in your face with it, as if it's going to like take your fucking nose off. And then you've got to just like start. I remember in school they were like, sing, make it go away, sing.
It's in like the end of the 1800s. It was deemed as like anti-Christian and quite pagan. So they turned it. They tried to get rid of it, and it like went really low in cultural reference. But then in like the last 50 years, it's come back quite a lot.
Did you
know it from school?
Nerd alert! But did you played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, didn't you?
Yeah, the Mary Lloyd's in that, isn't it?
Yeah, they do a little side quest with that. I was thinking, finally Mary Lloyd getting some absolute, AAA representation.
Is it called the Mary Lloyd in that?
I think in that they call it the Mary Lloyd, but I was like, close enough, I guess.
Well, So the etymology of it is up for debate. Some say it relates to Holy Mary, so Mary. Others say it means grey mare, so Lloyd being grey and Mary being like mare.
So could be right, but also call it Mary Lloyd because that's what we call it.
So that's the Mary Lloyd. That's another. I don't know if it's mythology. Well, it's not mythology. It's more tradition.
That's more like sort of traditional, cultural sort of thing. Yeah.
But I think that fits with it being a bit about
definitely
what makes Wales quite weird.
I love Mary Lloyd.
So,
if anyone
is
ever visiting Wales at that time of year, I urge you to go to something like St Fagans or something like that and experience it. We cannot prepare you. It's actually quite terrifying, even for a grown man.
It really is. Right, over to you. What's your last one?
Right. I feel I'm in danger now of being the boring side of the coin on this episode. I bet you're fucking relishing this, and you're getting all the fun ones.
Well, make them snappy. Go.
They're already written, mate. I can't bloody rewrite them on the fly, can I? Right. I'll try my best. So my next one is, and you'll know this one because I think most Welsh people hear it in school. I would say of our generation. It's the story of Cantrad Gwaelod. Ooh,
oh yeah.
Another one. This is a little bit shorter because there's actually not too much to go on. So basically, for those not in the know, Cantrad Gwaelod, or I didn't know this before either, before I did the research, but in English it's called the Lowland 100. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, interesting little tidbit there. That's what it's called in English. But anyway, Cantrad Gwaelod, or the Lowland 100, it's a sunken kingdom said to have been in what is now Cardigan Bay in West Wales. It's often referred to as kind of like the Welsh Atlantis or something like that. And it's, tons of other countries have very similar stories about sort of flooding as a destructive force of nature. But this is our little one. So there's several versions of this myth, but I'll just refer to the more popular one because that's the one that's sort of taught in schools and things like that. And this version was apparently where
Don't worry about the boring facts. Get into it. Get into the exciting part of what.
All right, basically, right. There's this big fucking bustling city. Like everyone's fucking sucking. Like you wouldn't even believe it. Yeah. You wouldn't believe how much sucking. You wouldn't believe how much fucking. Right. And they're like, it's fine. We can keep sucking. We can keep fucking because we're protected from the sea by a dike. No. The 17th century people in Wales were not homophobes. Dykes actually big seawall. No, as in the people who wrote it in the 17th century. You told me to skip over the facts and then you're fucking questioning on the tidbits. How dare you? Yeah. Anyway, so dyke is a big seawall for those who are not in the know. We're not being homophobes. It's fine. And also,
a dike's like a wall from nature, isn't it? Because they have Offa's Dyke going from the top of England to the bottom of Wales.
They can be either, I've been told, my friend. Sorry, thought we weren't getting bogged down in the boring shit.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting tidbit. I don't want to hear about, it was actually this guy, but some people say it's this guy. Just get into the story. Come on, we want the meat of this.
To paraphrase Christian Bale, do I trash your boobarchs? Don't trash my Cantrad Gwaelod, mate. All right.
My boobarchs was snappy. Snap.
That's true. That's true. Right. Well, let me get in my fucking groove then. I haven't got enough fucking story to get up even to a fucking canter at the moment, but we'll see what goes. So, yeah. Oh, nice. Anyway, so the dike protected them, as well as a series of sluice gates.
Can't say that anymore, mate.
Also, I just went to a series of sluice gates. Oh, you've just brought it down again. Anyway, Sea of Cantrad Gwaelod, right? They're fucking below sea level. And then, where do I fucking get snappy in here now? It's below sea level, right? The sucking and fucking is happening below sea level. It's a thrill for them. Think Mile High Club, but the opposite, right? They're loving life. So the two princes of Cantrad Gwaelod, they're the ones who have the honour of being in charge of these sluices, right? The sluices, or when the sucking and fucking's done, and the country is so wet and moist, you got to open these sluices to let the runoff let the fucking poison drain, let the gush go, right? Get it out there.
You're really trying to jazz this one up.
Yeah,
haven't you?
get it out there. And then shut it out behind until tomorrow. Right? But anyway, one of the princes of the land, one of the two princes, who was known as Thethenin, he sounds like a kind of guy me and you, Franco, would get on with, right? He's described as, in several versions, a notorious drunkard and a carouser. And I thought, I'd probably get on.
Carousers.
I'd probably get on with this guy. I think it'd be cool. He's also known as, in certain versions, as Thethenin the feeble-minded. Guess who fucks up in this story? Anyway, so yeah, he got really drunk one night. Everyone else is sucking fucking as is a custom in Cantrip Gwaelod. You know, that's in all the versions. And he gets so drunk, he forgets to open the sluices for the juices, and the whole bloody thing floods, doesn't it? There we go. Everyone dead. That's it. Drowned in their own fucking jism. Done.
Bands. So what was it? Like the waves come back. Have you seen it in the news recently? There's been like a new map found that showed that Wales did actually look like it had two separate islands a bit further out.
It was it's actually from it was like a I don't know, Bronze Age or something like that, and there was actually like a little town or something on there. So it could, because of the drought recently, all the waters have receded. You can actually see like remnants of like old trees and like little huts and shit like that.
But it's called typography when it's like a maps being made, isn't it? And I saw one from like the Romans made like this map of Europe, and it's fucking crazy how good it is of how much that's what Europe looks like. So we've got like the north top of Africa, Portugal, Spain, and like all these places from like up to like part of Russia, all across to Wales and Northern Ireland and islands and stuff. And it's mad to think, how the fuck do you make a map when you don't have like a plane or like a fucking Google Maps?
You just
like,
fucking start walking and going, oh, rock there, town here. Yeah.
But like, they've got it all right, like per site, like dimensions and like, you know.
How do you do it to scale?
Yeah, it looks to scale. But yeah, there's a map in like the 1100s or 1300s that showed Wales had this little land that we no longer have.
Well, if you look on, if you look at that, there is a map of where Cantrip Gwaelod sort of is supposed to be. Like I said, they've uncovered stuff. Look, fairly recently.
Well, like, you're meant to hear the bells ring if you go near there. Oh, yeah.
So I was going to say that the church bells of Cantrip Gwaelod would ring when danger was near. And apparently, if you're out at sea and it's going to be rough seas, you can still hear them to this day.
Ooh,
boobarf indeed. There's also another version.
I'm going to grab another drink.
Oh,
1 second.
Go on then. Yeah, I'll go fuck myself.
You carry on talking. I'll only give you 1 second. The boobarks struck me. I just realised I left the fridge door open for fucking the last 40 minutes.
Mate, that's the sort of move that get the boobarks knocking on your door.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, the other version of this.
You're boring, so
I know, yeah.
I'm joking. They're really good.
The other version of this tale, which is said to be the earliest version, and it's so much more boring. You think that was boring with all the second fucking. This appears in the Black Book of Carmarthen, and it apparently says that Cantrip Gwaelod was flooded because there was a well maiden who used to have to make sure a singular well in their little town was not like overflowing, and she just fucked it off one night, and then it just all fucking flooded. I was like, bit dull, innit? Bit
if
rubbish.
You've got a well that does that. Get rid of
move.
the well.
Don't put a fucking town next to it.
Plug up the well.
Yeah, plug it up.
Well, my last one is a bit more in depth. My other two tidbits have been.
Hey, listen, mate. I don't want to hear about details. I want to be about fucking boring shit. Okay, this is an easy breezy, nice and easy podcast.
Well, my other one is the big one, the Welsh dragon. So I thought, you can't really do Welsh mythology without addressing what is our.
No, you can't.
You can't do it. You can't do it. So. We have undoubtedly the best flag in the world. It's it's just fucking awesome. Awesome, what a fucking uncool word to say.
Anyone who thinks otherwise will, pick your 5 artists mates and we'll fight you to death. No problem.
Fucking, I'll bring my dragon and kick your head in.
I'll take you down to fucking Cardigan Bay and drown you in Cantrip Gwaelod, sunshine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll make Jack tell you a boring story about history.
I think I jazzed that up a little bit. Well, semi. It was quite forced. You could tell the theme I was going for.
I liked it, man. I liked it. So, the current flag we have was officially adopted in 1959, and it's based on some it's based on some royal badge used by British kings and queens since Tudor times. The red dragon itself has been associated with Wales for centuries, though, and as such, the flag is claimed to be the oldest national flag still in use. That doesn't really explain why we have a dragon, though, slagging it about on a dirty little sex cloth.
I was supposed to
say,
why
I call flags, by the way.
A sex cloth, yeah. What's your country's sex cloth look like? Mine's better than yours.
Yeah, let's go banging dragon on it. Fucking, I got Red Cross. We'll fucking have a day off, you nerd.
Yeah. Oh, so symmetrical. Boring.
So, you mentioned. So, I thought you were going to mention the nation's favourite hound, and his beard.
I do have a. I was going to do an honourable mention at the end to Gellert, one of my all-time favourites. But I thought that's too predictable. Not everyone. A lot of people in Wales know Gellert. But we'll get onto that later, maybe.
Yeah, well, very quickly, there's a
we'll get onto it now.
To a prince. I was going to say, I don't know. Yeah, well, just quickly say it. There was a famous dog that protected the king's son from a wolf, and then when the king came back, the king thought the dog had actually killed or attacked his son.
Yeah, Gellert, the dog, was covered in blood, and he'd killed the wolf, and then he nestled next to the son, didn't he, to sort of keep him warm or something?
To protect it.
And was it Llywelyn was meant to be his owner? Llywelyn?
I don't think it's... I'm not sure. Maybe
just a Welsh king, maybe, a nameless Welsh king.
And they came back and saw Gellert next to the baby covered in blood, so they killed the dog, and then about a second later looked outside and saw this fucking battered wolf. Where you think, hang on, mate, could have seen that on the way in, saved yourself a whole lot of bother.
Exactly.
But he was heartbroken by killing his dog, who he'd loved, his really loyal, amazing hound. So there's a place in Wales called Beirdd Gellert, which translates as Gellert's grave, not Bellet's grave.
Bellet's grave.
Gellert's grave. Which is, Beirdd Gellert. So there's pints are flying through.
Obviously, no one can see the camera at the moment, but Frank's got a nosebleed after that. He's just...
fell on the floor, fucking pulsating. Everyone loves Gellert. He's this fucking legend in history. They've even got, statues for him today. So I think he might have been an actual part of history, a real part of history. But where Beirdd Gellert is, the place, there's this little old fella. So this is now back, I think 600 years before that. So in the 6th or 7th century, or even before, there's a little old fella called Vortigern. He used to rest his head in where Beirdd Gellert is now. He used to hang around there. Vortigern always reminds me of Viggo Mortensen, the guy from Paragon from Lord of the Rings.
You just amalgamated his first and last name, didn't you? Vortigern.
Yeah. Vortigern. But Vortigern was a Celtic king who was on the hunt for a castle. Like some mad Channel 4 show, Vortigern's Welsh castle wish list.
I'm here in Beirdd Gellert, and I'm on the hunt for a castle.
Unlike Jack, I don't watch real estate TV. He fucking loves it. So,
how do you think I get my fucking speaking points for all these tidbits of Welsh history, mate?
Anyway, our plucky little Vortigern finally found a place to call his own on the hillside of Dinas Emrys, which is a real place. So when he was there, he said, brilliant, I found this brilliant hillside, I love it, this is where I'm going to... I think Emma's just coming in.
There's man. I need to top up anyway.
No.
Top up time.
I'm still going sick.
Oh, go on in.
Hang on, 1 second. I'm leaving that in. So as he was stomping around Dinas Emrys, he was like, all right, this is it. I want to call this my home. And he set up about thinking of building a castle there. And then some whiny little snot-nosed kid apparently warned Vortigern that this beautiful mountain he's found and mined to build this brand new sparkling castle was directly above an underground lake where, you'll never guess, 2 great big bloody dragons were halfway through a millennia-long snooze. Yeah, again.
Oh, this
Also-
didn't bloody turn up in the mortgage application, did it? Fucking hell.
What's it called when you do one of those fucking surveys or inserts?
Yeah, no insulation, couple of dragons under your fucking floorboards.
Oh, mate, married the fucking dragon. She's moving in with me. Also, this little nerd, this little swat, was none other than your favourite wizard, Merlin. Apparently, Merlin, the little kid, was like,
Also-
he's like, don't.
Merlin, aka in the Welsh terms, Gwydion, my friend. Gwydion, baby.
Oh, Gwydion, baby.
Mm.
Well, anyway, Gwydders was like, mate, don't. Honestly, don't. You're going to ruin it. There's dragons there.
Don't fuck this up,
But
mate.
Vorty was having none of it, and he sent his men down to keep digging in his mine to build this castle. And lo and behold, when the men got down there, they found two dragons, one red and one white. And these
If only the
buggers,
fucking housing report had said that.
yeah. Well, these two dozy buggers woke up and they went at it, like properly went to town. It was a real battle for the ages. It was a fierce fight that clashed and lit up the sky and was a bloody good spectacle by all accounts, which there are very few accounts of. So the two dragons went at it for ages. They started like attacking each other on top of this hill as the king watched on, and the king kind of watched on, was praising one of them, and it was the red dragon that slayed the white dragon, and because he got woken up by Vortigern, he kind of flew down and kneeled down next to Vortigern, and then Vortigern became kind of his master. So analysis has been divided on this, but some think the red dragon represented Vortigern's people, and he used this story to sort of cement his rightful place on this hill and as king of parts of Wales he was ruling.
You know, I've heard something similar about something to do with King Arthur, that a white versus a red dragon. Yeah,
hold on to your ass, mate.
about to be crazy.
Whilst others interpret it as some interpret it as just like Vortigern using it as a way to kind of say, hey, listen, this dragon is like my pet because he knows I'm the rightful ruler of this area. While others interpret it as a prophecy of the coming of King Arthur, whose papa was called Uther Pendragon, and Pendragon translates as dragon's head.
I see.
So yeah, they used to think this was his coming. But also another interesting tidbit about this. Even though it's clearly a mythical story, they did an excavation of Dinas Emrys in 1945, and it showed evidence of a lake and a fortress dating back to King Vortigern's time, which is pretty cool.
Well.
And throughout history, the Welsh dragon's been a symbol of many of our heroes' crests, but eventually faded in popularity. And like as we know, it's like visibly missed and non-represented on the Union Jack, which was designed in 1606. So
yeah,
Scottish flag on there, English flag, we're not there. However, weirdly, in 1959, Queen Elizabeth stated that only the red dragon on a green and white flag should be flown on government buildings in Wales. So fair play to your broad.
I mean, yeah.
She helped us rekindle our love for that scaly fuck, which is rather suitable because lots of people call her a lizard.
that was good. That was a good little jokette there. I like that.
Yeah, so that's the history of the dragon.
That was good, mate. I like that. I didn't even know that one. I knew a story about a white and a red dragon, but I think that was like an Arthurian sort of thing, and it was I don't know.
Yeah. So they've the rumours. So that dragon Wales has been associated with dragons since when the Romans were here, and when the Romans left in like 300 BC, loads of Welsh kings started to adopt the dragon as their banner, as a sign of trying to show ownership of the land. Even with the Romans, was always steeped in like mythology because the people were painted and weird and wacky, and pagans and Celts and stuff.
Yeah.
So when the Romans left, it was a good thing to kind of cement an identity in a quite identityless, undefined identity land.
Yeah, it makes me annoyed the Welsh were so shit at writing things down because, like, you know me, I'm a big mythology nerd.
Yeah.
Read all the stuff about the Greeks and like what little there is about the Norse and stuff like that. But there's even less about like actual Welsh, like the gods we used to sort of worship and things like that back in the day in Celtic times. I mean, why would they write shit down back then?
But they got we don't know any really the gods they did. We know like some of the stories.
There's things them, like
very few.
Clear and Rhiannon and all that sort of stuff. But you don't even know what like the gods they were of, like what did they represent? It's just there's just names sort of jotted down on fucking beer mats from the ages.
Yeah, a little scrap bit of thingy, a little boobach writ one down here.
A little boobach, but he could be fucking having a laugh with me, mate, because I hadn't had a drink that night. So
yeah. So they're good. They're all. I think they're all decent. We chose 6 unique stories, which I don't think are massively represented anywhere else.
No, the Boobach is hands down my favourite piece of this podcast. Absolutely
The
fantastic.
Marigold and the Cantor Gaylord are both quite well-known stories, aren't they? But they're still fun to read a bit more into.
Yeah, I don't know why the Branwen one sort of appeals to me so much. I think it's just
Oh, I love it. I like that one
I
as
like
well.
that it's like sort of more. It's not just about Wales, it's like sort of UK spanning. I love how in it.
Well, it's an actual story, isn't it?
Yeah, I love how in it the everyone's names doesn't matter if they're fucking Irish. Is like Matholwch, it's like this, not an Irish name. And also
Welsh name.
Bran is like, oh yeah, my name's Bendigade Bran. Who are you? I'm king of the British Isles, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and Big Boy Brett.
Big Boy Brett.
Well, do you want to call that the end of it? I mean, we've had a lot. This has been a long-winded.
It has been a long one, this, but
very rambly.
Content is content at the end of the day, and it throw enough shit at the wall, and we'll get some in.
It's ran for 120 minutes, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of editing.
Yeah. Oh god.
But we've been up and down, and we fucking answered our pants tonight with the fucking Harry Krishnas, and you kick it off with your bottle of beer.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interruptions, but they're going to add the comedy, I hope.
Oh yeah, they had. Yeah, they do. They were good.
Yeah, you're welcome, audience.
If you want to get in touch, contact us at Tales for Wales on Twitter.
The number 4.
DM for anything you
can't forget that.
Here's the number 4. Let us know if you want what you want us to cover next. I think that's pretty much it. We don't really have.
Let us know what you want us to cover. I mean, we'll take it on advisement. We might say no fucking way. Start your own podcast if you want to fucking talk about that shit.
If you want to fucking do something, if you want to fucking
do it yourself.
On about something, we don't care. Do it yourself, mate. We're doing it ourselves.
You heard the phrase?
It's shit. It's really hard.
You heard the phrase? If you don't like it, do it yourself. I mean, that's not the exact phrase. I'm paraphrasing. I've had a drink, but
here's the phrase: if you don't like it, build your own podcast.
Yeah,
do it yourself.
It's a modern one. You probably didn't. You're not cool enough.
I've decided I'm not going to be aggressive anymore to this part.
I like it though. I think it's like our thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you what, hit us up. Tales for Wales, the number 4. Do you like our little aggressive sign-offs? If you do...
if you don't, fuck off.
I was going to say, if you do, great. If you don't, fuck off. That one wrote itself.
Predictable.
Yeah.
Right, let's call that ahead.
Cheers, lads and ladies. Love you all. Ta-da, ta-da, bye, 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 bye. Thanks for your moment.